No need to travel to Barsoom. Welcome to the Doom Room. I'm Alex, and I'm doomed.
I'm on shrooms, and I'm in the Doom Room. I'm Justin, and I'm doomed.
I'm Pete. Don't lie to us.
Oh, you are on shrooms. We're all on shrooms here because we're going to be talking about Season 1, Episode 5 of Doom Patrol, titled Paw Patrol. Very exciting. Everybody loves Paw Patrol, and this was a direct adaptation.
Great crossover.
Huge. What'd you think about this, Justin? Before we get into the recap, you're a big Paw Patrol fan. You saw the movie in theaters. Go ahead.
Yes, I mean, I just love the idea of dogs finally stepping up and doing human stuff. They've been we've taken care of them for far too long. It's time that they started taking care of us.
Yeah, that's honestly what I'm hoping in my old age, is for just a bunch of dogs to take care of me, you know? I signed up for one of those old age care facilities where it's just dogs working there.
Yeah, you've been trying to sign up for old age care for a number of years, since you turned 30, right?
Pretty much. They won't let me. They keep being like, please, sir, you're too young and beautiful.
Wow.
They call you Bedpan is your nickname, right? Ever since college.
It's a real Sawyer type thing. Hey there, Bedpan.
That's good. Sawyer from Lost. I like that you say Sawyer from Lost, I'm assuming. And you assume we know exactly what you mean. And I will say, we do, but that's a dusty ref, Bedpan.
Oh, can I set up?
Yeah. You know what, Alex? Come over. I'll take care of you.
Great. So this is the second of the two-parter that Doom Patrol is doing, which is being called out at a certain point by Mr. Nobody in the episode. The Decreator has come to Earth. Turns out he was, in fact, a left eyeball.
I knew it! And let's remember, I haven't seen any of this, so the fact that a right eye appeared, Pete, in your eye.
Yeah.
In your perfectly evenly sized eyes.
I'll tell you what, I definitely have been thinking about that since we taped the last episode. And Pete, you know that eyeballs are different, right? Like they're not these round circles with a dot in the middle that cartoons have.
I don't know.
Well, I will say, Alex, actually, eyeballs are similar. It's the eyes itself, the shape of the eye, that's different.
Yes,
What?
You're correct. Yeah, the shape of the eyes are different. What?
Pete, have you ever looked someone in the eyes?
No.
Are you
I'm not going to start now.
That's why they call him Shifty LePage.
Yep. Shifty and Bedpan. Gotta go take a podcast with Shifty and Bedpan.
So let's actually keep going through this recap. So the Decreator has come to Earth, is in fact decreating everything. The residents of Doom Manor are trying to stop it, and in fact it all comes down to Niles Caulder, who's being tortured by Morden, aka Mr. Nobody. They team up together, change Jane's history so that one of her personalities starts a new cult to create the Recreator. Turns out to be a dog, hence the title of the episode, Paw Patrol, and they do manage to have two eyeballs in the sky. We don't necessarily get resolution there. They're just kind of having a staring contest with each other towards the end of the episode. And then at the very end, we find out a lot more about Jane's history, what went on with her, ending with a big, interesting line, what the fuck is the Doom Patrol? Which is probably something that viewers are also wondering 5 episodes in, potentially.
Yep.
Well, I thought that was a very funny way to end it, because, of course, we are like, I love the Doom Patrol, but they don't know they're the Doom Patrol. Only we know that. So that was really cool.
And Mr. Nobody knows it.
Yeah, he knows everything. Watching this episode, I was like, this Mr. Nobody's going to be very difficult to beat. Mm-hmm. He's got him figured out.
Well, there is a key there. First of all, it's great to have him back, and I love all the meta commentary on the episode. There were so many lines to write down, but just the thing, like we were saying, he gets frustrated because he's like, I haven't been on this show for 2 episodes.
2 episodes, yeah.
We're not ending this now. I've got a lot more stuff to do. But as Niles points out to him when they're talking, there is stuff that he doesn't know. Like, he doesn't know about the Decreator, and he doesn't know how to stop the Decreator. So even though he seems to be controlling the story, there's certainly some gaps there, which points to, potentially, Justin, the way that they could beat him. And this is without spoilers. I'm just saying in terms of this episode.
Yeah, well, and it seems like the Doom Patrol is the weakness, because they're a little bit, and that's what I feel like this episode did sort of crystallize a little bit of what the team is, and this is the 5th episode, to like have them be these people that are actually very powerful, all of them, but they're held back by the tragedies of their lives, and if they can just work to get past them, then maybe they're going to be a really powerful force. And in this, it's more Caulder really working Jane through over the course of, 40 years or whatever, to be able to create the Recreator and save the world.
This episode on the 40 years bed really drove back to me the idea of like, how old are these characters and why do they not age? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's weird. Pete?
Hey.
How you doing?
All right, thanks.
Good. You've just been a little quiet. I wanted to see how you were doing and kind of check in with you.
Yeah.
Sorry, we're on Paw Patrol this week, and we got to check in with old Shifty.
Anything you want to say about anything that we're bringing up?
Well, we're still in the recap portion where I'm not allowed to talk, so I want.
No, we're past the recap.
We're
portion.
fully past recap.
Okay.
We're talking.
We've been past for a while.
Okay.
We should mention we're taping this one a little early in the morning. We interrupted Pete halfway through eating his BEC. You all know what that is. I'm not going to specify. So he's only got that.
And I was eating it. Yeah.
You don't know what a BEC is?
Now I do. They explained it to me, but
it's more of a New York thing.
It's a New York thing. It's a big elephant cock. And Pete was halfway through his. Big New York thing.
You've heard that thing about the old men, right? Like all the blind old men and they're filling around. And
I'm more of I'm more of a ham and cheese guy myself.
No, I'm good.
No, you don't want to finish your analogy or your what is that?
A bunch of blind men are filling around and they're like, oh, I feel it's some sort of mushroom.
Big mushroom.
Big mushroom.
It's in Portobello. Anyway.
All right. I think that's enough checking with Pete for this episode.
Yeah. Well, so this episode all about Jane. We get to learn. We don't really learn too much more about her, but we just see a series of awful things that have happened to her.
Yeah, she's tough to watch, man. Some real triggering shit there. I mean, you got to. That's some real horrible abuse of power going on there.
Well, and she's been controlled her whole life in institutions and manipulated, and that's sort of what's happening here with Caulder and Mr. Nobody too, because while they are sort of her savior, or Caulder's her savior at the end, they do use her to create the Recreator here, and in a way, she's just this pawn that is always being moved to where she needs to be for other people's goals.
Yeah, but for this goal, it's to save the world. So it's like, you hate to see somebody be used, but I think it's something that if there was enough time to kind of sit her down and explain, I think she would agree to.
Well, also she doesn't necessarily seem to mind. She likes or Dr. Harrison at least likes being in this role where she is creating this cult. It's certainly a very fun montage sequence as she works with these insane asylum patients, and they keep coming up with crazy ideas.
The whole dog thing was just fun. Like, I like dogs. Just fun. But I want to take it back to the beginning as I normally do. We get to see like this fun kind of like Jane being Jane moment, the Void in New Jersey, 1977. That's really fun. And like punks.
You were there.
No, I was one.
Can we take it back actually a little further? Because one of my favorite parts of the episode is when I sat down on the couch and I pulled the cover up a little bit, had a steaming cup of cocoa next to me with a big marshmallow in it.
Wow, you really treated yourself.
I really did.
Again, classic bedpan, cozy blanket and cocoa to watch his TV.
I'm glad we're taking it back farther, because what was nice about the previously on is we got the Nernheim Sucks moment by Cliff. Just a classic fun Cliff moment of just like summing up everything in one kind of funny line.
I feel like I'm traveling in time backwards. We do get her shirt when she's in the punk club, the Void. It says "Time Travel Fuck Missile," which I think sets up her role in the episode really nicely.
Yeah, a little foreshadowing there.
Well, what do you think? I mean, let's get into this a little bit because, like you're saying, Pete, this does set her up as a counterculture into punk culture, all these things that we knew already. But at the same time, that doesn't seem to be what Jane actually wants, potentially, as a person, I would posit. Do you guys agree with that? Do you feel like she does want something more? Is she not actually a punk, or is this something that fulfills her?
Well,
you think she's into folk rock?
Mm-hmm.
For
as the resident cop of the podcast, I want to ask you, like,
for a second in the
can we trust her?
Before she gets hit in the head by the cop's bully stick there, the moment after she's screaming and then everybody screams with her was just such a fun kind of like Jane moment of like, yeah, this is great, I'm having fun, and then it's over quickly and then gets really bad from there. But yeah, that's the thing. There are so many different people inside of Jane. We don't know what would bring her happiness because everybody's got a different opinion.
Well, I feel like she's going maybe to this club to just like get some of her anger out. Like she's there to push people around, get into a fight. I mean, I don't know if she's definitely counter the establishment. She's raging against something here, and it's the powers that have been controlling her. I don't know if she's necessarily like, I love the punk scene. I can't wait for post-punk pop to really come through so I can have a laugh or whatever. Were you guys ever into sort of the mosh pit universe, Bedpan?
I love Green Day.
Oh, wow.
Cool. Famous mosh.
Yeah.
Pete?
As an angsty teen, sure, I got myself in some pits, big black boots stomping around, sure.
Nice.
No, definitely not. I was scared of mosh pits. Go ahead, Justin.
Oh, true nightmare. I did some crowd surfing. Was very fun. The K-Rockathon, upstate New York.
Wow,
I was there.
Nice. I mostly stayed to Britney Spears concerts and NSYNC and stuff like that. Not a lot of mosh pits going on there.
Very
wow. And how old were you? Sorry, just real quick in this time.
45.
Justin, did you go over to Darien Lake for any of those concerts, or where was your venue of choice?
The K-Rockathon was at Vernon Downs.
Oh yeah,
Vernon Downs, kid.
Yeah.
Right by it was on the racetrack.
Right by the track, yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, we're just doing some upstate New York.
Okay.
But it's a real axe went there.
We need to get another Long Island boy on this podcast. Is what's going on, so we can talk about the Jones Beach Amphitheater, the real venue you go to if you want the primo concerts. Britney Spears and NSYNC, etc.
Yeah, but Bedpan, call up your friends, Viagra and
I did go to
elbow lotion.
I did go to a New Orleans Jazz Fest once at Jones Beach Amphitheater. Is that the same sort of thing?
No.
You are proving your nickname true in ways I couldn't have ever imagined.
Yeah, you couldn't write this better.
100%.
Yeah.
One big revelation, though, that I think we should talk about with Jade, and I'm a little hesitant to talk about because it does get into some spoilers coming down the road, but we get a lot of talk about who is Kay. Who is Kay that comes up during the interrogation scene, torture scene with Dr. Bertrand. The name comes up a couple of times, I believe, when Cliff and it's Hammerhead that he's with. Hammerhead and also
Pennyfarthing.
Yeah. Kay comes up again. So, Justin, do you have any theories there in terms of what your take is on Kay's
and just so you know, like I thought it was like Men in Black type of style, with the initials and maybe the mind wiping kind of thing. But
so you thought it was Tommy Lee Jones?
Yeah, that's who Kay was. Yeah.
Wait, is Tommy Lee Jones Jay?
No, Jay's Will Smith. Jay.
Will Smith is Jay. Okay,
yeah.
Tommy Lee Jones.
Great. I think Kay's sort of the original person. The core personality that everything sprang out of. Like we see
on their birth certificate, you think it says K is what you're saying?
Well, Kay's a name. Kay's a name.
Yeah, it's K-A-Y. That's how it's spelled.
Yeah. Every kiss begins with K.
Oh, you beat me to that, son of a.
Every kiss begins with K is a great slogan. Shouts to the K Jeweler marketing team in 1910 or whenever they came up with that. But I have an Aunt Kay as well, so it's a real name, it's a real person, and I think that that's where all of this came from. When in Nurnheim, when the crazy mom reduces Cliff to a brain and reduces Jane to a kid, I think that's Kay, and that's where her first sort of fracture maybe happened.
Yeah, oh, go ahead, Pete.
I just want to say, like, the fact that, like, we're getting Nurnheim here with the mom, and also the fact of, like, that actor has to play the dead dad for, like, so many scenes. Like, it's it's so gross and hysterical at the same time. The fact that he's still sitting there is pretty hilarious.
I would love that. I would love to be a dead body on some show. Like, particularly like a Law and Order, they just are like, well, this man died horribly.
Yeah.
And they
spilled a very hot cocoa on him in front of his television.
It was great. We had to use no makeup.
Yeah. Oh, you want to be an actual dead body?
Yes. I want Law and Order to kill me. I'm constantly going by their set and being like, kill me, daddy, to Dick Wolf.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
He's always on set. Always on set.
It was also cool that we got Booger back for another scene as the cockroach.
Yeah. Ezekiel talking about cheese with a rat and how you make cheese. Very fun scene.
Very funny.
I'm very curious how this seems like a recurring character maybe folds into a longer series or season-wide story.
Right now, we don't know why that cockroach is there, what his backstory is, what's going on with him, like you're saying, what his place is, but it is just another fun, extremely weird detail with the world, and also that he can talk to rats is...
Hannibal Lecter either in this episode, which was...
Maybe he'll show up again. Hannibal. We got to keep our eyes out for Hannibal Lecter.
I really like, while we're talking about Nurnheim, I really like the way it is like where the super villain is like killing the world essentially from there. But it's also a spot where Cliff gets to be Cliff and be like, what? Over and over again.
Yeah.
And learn some stuff about himself and about Jane while they're just waiting for the world to end.
I also, two other details that I'll mention about Nurnheim that I think are pretty great. One, I did not realize that's the last episode, but Mother Archon is enormous. That's something that just sort of comes through when her head reaches out. And I was like, oh, that
so cool.
Literally changes the perspective on this scene and what's going on here. And then also the idea that it's not just metaphorically in a snow globe, but actually in a snow globe is a fun, weird detail as well.
Which had to be hard to shoot, you know?
Mm-hmm. You got to
tiny cameras.
Yeah, tiny camera.
What I was gonna say is Nurnheim. It's such a like '80s movie place, and I feel like it's shot really well. It's very like labyrinth.
I was thinking Beetlejuice kind of, but all right.
Yeah, I think all of those movies sort of work in there.
Yeah, and like we mentioned, I loved the lady from the insane asylum who shows up. Marilyn. She has this amazing line where she says. She says, you spit in the face of God. And she says, lady, the only God I worship is Springsteen, and I've spat in his face twice.
Great. Now that's a story I want to hear. So you don't hear about people trying to spit in Bruce Springsteen's face very often.
It's so good. It's such a good line because we already know exactly who this character is when she comes in, but giving her this detailed backstory through one very funny line is just... really, really nicely written. Just across the board, stuff like that. Like, I think it points back to the Ezekiel thing, and what's so fun about it is they have everything that's going on with the main characters. We don't know their entire backstories yet. We don't know how they interact yet, like you were talking about. But they're still taking time to throw in all of these details of the world that even if we never see Marilyn again, or if we do see her again somewhere down the road, they could have a flashback at a Springsteen concert. In the background, she's spitting in Springsteen's face. That's the sort of thing that, like, at least you have on tap as a writer that you could bring back later. And it's enjoyable.
I'm sure they tried to reach out to Bruce about this, and he was probably like, no, I'm good. Thanks, though.
Subject line, spit in face.
Yeah.
He gets a lot of emails like that. I agree with you about the writing it's so confident. It's so like, we're just going to put all the stuff on the table and just keep going. And I'm along for the ride, even though I don't know everything about everything.
I gotta say, in this episode, like having Mr. Nobody back as the voiceover, the unreliable narrator, was just so much fun. I didn't realize like how much I missed it until it was like back and clicking again. And his just kind of like quick commentary, like a couple of times he was like boring, just hysterical.
Well, and he also, like we were talking about with all this meta commentary, he has this great line where about midway actually towards the end, he says, let's not turn this two-parter into a trilogy, which is very fun. Because very it definitely, I think that's also a writing thing. If it feels like we've done everything we need to do with this concept right now. Certainly, they could go more with what's going on with the two eyeballs in the sky, but it's okay. We don't need to know more about it.
Well, just to break down sort of how the plot unfolds, Caulder and Nobody are in a void, and they're like, Caulder's like, we could solve this, and Nobody's like, okay, I want to be able to fuck up the world on my own terms. Yeah. And so they go back, Nobody goes back in time and has Jane start a religion so they can battle the belief, the amount of belief that the Uncreator has with the Recreator. Wildly complicated idea. And then I think they make fun of themselves when they're in the insane asylum and all the inmates come up with a wildly complicated plot to create the Recreator. And that's where you get the dog and the bell and all that, which is super fun. So I feel like this episode sort of folds in on itself in such a funny way.
It almost feels like the insane asylum scene was probably how they were talking about it in the writer's room. Where they're like, how do we get out of this? Well, if it's just a person, again, that's the same thing. It should be something different. Oh, what if it was a dog? Oh, but then wouldn't you just see the writing on the dog? What if it's invisible? How do we get out of like it's solving these problems as you're working through it, but it's very funny the way that it's executed. Also, cute dog. Very cute dog.
Cute dog. And really well groomed, I thought.
Mm-hmm. Particularly for that dude who they tackle. Yeah. Seems like he doesn't groom a dog well, but he's got to spend a little more time on himself and his own look and not just the dog's look. You know what I'm talking about?
And 100%. And especially a guy that has so many tattoos that don't match up at all.
Oh, that was hysterical where they're like, they get him and they're like, no, this is just a douchebag. Oh my God, I lost it. It's not it's just a douchebag who has crazy tattoos. Like, that was so fun.
Why don't we talk about some of the other characters? Rita has a big arc here. She continues to try to be more heroic, be more of a person, bond with Elliot, even though he is immediately decreated. That scene
was funny.
That was funny. That got me. That scene when he was
really.
It was funny, but it also the timing of it, like the fact that she's been making moves, changing for the better, is really almost gets him to be like, yeah, I will be happy. And then he vanishes.
Well, what's funny is she's like, anything you want. And he gets this look on his face. I was like, uh-oh, is this going to get weird? And then he's immediately like taken away at perfect timing. Really
If
funny.
You had 19 minutes to live, what's the one thing you would want to do, Pete?
Well, I mean, how close are we to like In-N-Out Burger? Like, what is
anything? Anything you want. Literally
In-N-Out Burger. Wow.
Well, I'm just wondering, like, where we are in the world and, like, what's at my...
You can get anything you want, except for In-N-Out Burger. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'll have to go with Carnies on Sunset then as my backup.
I thought you were going to be like, I guess I'll just die.
I'll just kill myself, 19 minutes to live. No In-N-Out, bang. Whoa, okay. You want to enjoy the last 19?
What about you? Last 19 minutes, Justin?
Oof, 19 minutes is a weird amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
It's not enough for drugs to kick in. You know what I mean? Like, you don't even have...
Right. I guess I just watched the first 19 minutes of the new Batman movie.
Oh, wow.
The part where his parents die in the alley.
I've been dying to hear how that goes.
Is she wearing pearls? What happens to the pearls?
My God.
You know?
It's just supposed to be a new take. Let's see if she's wearing emeralds or something.
I think I'd probably go to New Orleans Jazz Fest at the Jones Beach Theater. Probably get a cup of gumbo.
I really hope
sit down.
Macris isn't listening to this episode because that's got to be really upsetting.
Also, did you say it was the New Orleans Jazz Festival at Jones Beach?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, he doesn't.
That doesn't make any sense.
I'm glad you finally caught on to this bit.
Great stuff. I did also really like the line from Willoughby early in the episode. I think it's Larry asks him how much time do we have left, and very seriously he says 19 minutes. And Larry's like, wow. And then he says, I don't fucking know. And then just runs down and his stuff starts being decreated. Overall,
very fun.
I know we joked about it being discount Constantine on the last episode, or at least I did, but very fun character. And Mark Sheppard is great in the role.
Yeah, the whole I hope I never have to see you again, my friend, was really just very touching and hilarious. Also, I love the trap that Mr. Nobody sets when Niles goes back. And if you say his name, he barfs. That's such a gross, hilarious, weird thing. It's just really funny.
That's a great prank I want to pull on one of you two.
Oh, that would be fun. If we say your name, maybe we throw up?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Bad, hard for you, especially, Alex.
Mm-hmm. Wait, why?
Because I feel like you say my name more than Pete.
Yeah, that's true.
That's very true, Justin. Oh, you already did it.
Stop.
Gross.
One thing that I did want to mention about this episode that I think is interesting based on the previous episodes is, I don't mean this as negatively as it's going to sound, but it feels like there's so many characters in the show right now that at least one kind of falls by the wayside every episode, is just sort of there while everybody else is getting significant plot movements.
How dare you? For
this one, I think it was Larry Traynor. We get a little bit, but... You're ridiculous.
That's mean.
It's very mean. Larry Traynor, who we don't find a lot about this episode, he kind of sits back in the bus while everybody else is doing their stuff. He gets a really nice conversation with Niles Caulder on the bus, where we do find out, as we suspected, that the negative spirit wasn't saying he likes to torture Larry, but in fact, he is tortured because Larry is tortured.
Yeah,
but
Larry,
that's really, but
Larry's
that's really
negativity.
the only bit we get in the episode, I think.
Yes, but that at least was a little nugget moving forward. I thought that Cliff sort of got short shrift here. He just does a lot of like, what?
Well, he does it so well, though, and it's hilarious every time.
100%. But in the montage at the end, when they're like checking in with everyone, it's just him holding up a picture of himself, and I was like, yeah, we know you want your face back, dude. Like we get I wish that, because he had his daughter's phone number, he threw that away, and now he's back to just looking at his picture. It feels like backwards movement.
What you missed is he was scratching the daughter's in the picture, and she's cut off, and it's her shoulder, and so he's scratching her shoulder. It's not he's looking at himself. He's looking at, it's a picture of the two of them, and she got cut out of it.
You think it's a scratch and sniff photo?
Well, I think he's misses his daughter, and that's the closest he has to a picture of her.
Justin, have you have you done that for your kids? I got scratch and sniff photos of both of my kids at once a year so I can smell the different smells.
100%. Especially my kids are pretty young, so they are smelling great. I want to remember every single smell.
Oh my god. We do get speaking of random characters, we do get the return of the blue horse head, which was
Baphomet. Real attracted to Calder.
Mm-hmm. I want to know, this is another thing that I actually think does imply a lot of backstory there. Like, stuff happened back in the day with that blue horse head and Niles. It was probably sexual in nature. We don't know what it is.
Yeah. A little BUC.
It was probably a bunch of blind men feeling around, and, well, you know the rest.
Oh my God! Who are you?
Well, and I think we do learn a fair, like Calder, sort of his reappearance. We get to learn more about him, his secret relationship with Baphomet. He has more of a James Bond energy to him. This episode, he's walking, obviously, and
that was fun.
James Bond, famous for walking.
Yeah. I'll have my standing martini, shake it, not stir. Why you say standing? Because a martini is a sort of a drink that stands in a lot of ways. But everyone's trying to protect him. He's the father that is sort of not giving them what they want. The great sort of team shot of them all together, and they can't protect him. Like, he is coming into focus a little bit more. He's much more clear with some of the secrets that he has. The fact that he has secrets.
Oh, I thought there was more to that.
Yeah, it seemed like
you ended on an up note.
Yeah, you really were, and then just kind of.
Well, I think I said a lot.
No, you did.
I mean,
it's
just
one the way you ended it.
On this podcast, when you're done, you say, "I cede my time."
Yeah, exactly. Reclaiming my time.
Yep.
And now over to Pete for 60 seconds. Timer starting now.
Great. I really like the weak sauce Mr. when Jane's getting what's happening explained to her. It was really funny. And I also like it was like a pamphlet about how the Recreator and how she's going to kind of like save the world. I thought that was really funny. Yeah, well said. Well said. Yeah, I just think that overall, like, the Cliff stuff was small, but just really well used Cliff moments of like, what the fuck? You can walk? Like, just, I don't know. I think, yeah, sure, not as much, but still used perfectly. And then the two eyes having a staring contest and then they kind of evaporate at the end, I thought was enjoyable.
What about the fact that he was driving?
Pete still has another 17 seconds to go.
Oh,
Go
thank
ahead,
you.
Pete.
Thank you. Yep.
What do you want to use with your last 17 seconds, Pete?
Oh, my God.
In and out or just kill yourself?
Yeah, I guess I'll just kill myself. Yeah, I'm not close enough to an in and out, unfortunately.
And that is time. All right, over to Justin.
Great. Alex says no time. Traffic cop. Well, why was Calder able to drive? Is the idea that he's just lying about being in a wheelchair?
There are cars that are outfit
Yeah, exactly.
for
The
driving,
gas
even
and
if you
stuff
don't
is
have
up
use
here.
of your
You
legs.
can use, yeah.
But I didn't see any of that extra stuff on that car.
I mean,
Dude, seriously, you're gonna get all like,
It's not. I'm more pointing to the fact that Calder seems like he is playing a part when he's doing
okay,
the
here, let me
Professor
bring
X
in
thing.
Cinema Sins into the stream so you can complain to them about this little gaff.
No,
that
that's
they made
not
on
what
the
I'm
show.
saying. I'm saying
Yeah.
I think it's a
Eyeballs
point.
can't be in the sky. That doesn't
Yeah.
make any sense.
yeah.
I think it's a character point being he is being different people to a different person to all these different people to fill this role, and we don't know the actual truth about him.
Yes, I don't think he's lying about that in that case. I think they just did not have the pedals up there on this particular vehicle more than anything. I did want to ask, we haven't talked about Cyborg at all, who doesn't really also have a very big role in this episode, but does have a big role in the end as Mr. Nobody blows up his arm. He ends up calling his dad automatically because of, I think it's Cliff
Pushes the button, which he does
Because
not.
he's worried.
Yeah, so what do you take away from this? What does this mean for Cyborg going forward?
I think maybe it's Cyborg's getting kicked off the team, or maybe his dad like wipes him and starts fresh or something. Because like the way he's reacting seems like it's going to be a bad scene for him if his dad shows up.
I mean, I think it is. What we know about his dad is maybe he's menacing, not great. It feels though it may be more like he just doesn't ever want his dad to help, and like it just shows that he's not ready to be on the Justice League, to be an adult superhero or whatever. But he was very scared, so I am curious. Just calling his dad, because then later in the montage, his dad just calls and he declines it, and I was like, oh, that's it?
Yeah, exactly.
Just a phone call from dad that you can just not answer? Because that feels like the stakes were a little high when he had the old neck button lighting up.
Yeah. I just want to point out, Justin, that when I saw the two eyes in the sky, I wrote Justin was right. Fuck.
Wow. That's an honest note. Well, let me say that the one thing about the Cyborg button reminded me very much of that great Triumph the Insult dog bit back on Conan back in the day when he goes to the Comic-Con and there's a guy in a Darth Vader suit and he goes, which one of these buttons do you use to call your mom? And I was like, that's the button right in the neck.
There you go. Except calling his dad. Any other moments of the episode that particularly jumped out at you? I'll mention, I love the line from Mr. Nobody, so I'm no L. Ron Hubbard who has the time. Very funny.
Great.
Anything else that you guys want to mention?
The song Ring My Bell was hysterically playing, for the whole kind of end of the world dance sequence.
Right on the nose.
Yeah, I thought that was really fun.
The whole sequence where the guy's like, his nickname was Teeny Weeny Peeny.
Yeah, that was.
I was like, wow, that's a
but
tough
that's his
name for
mom
a parent.
saying that to him. That had to be rough.
That's what I'm saying. That's even a schoolyard bully nickname. That's pretty harsh. To have it coming from old mom, it's not what you want. And the opposite of a BEC, which was my high school nickname.
I also really like the personality Dr. Harrison is pretty terrifying, but I think Diane Guerrero has portrays it really, really well. Like, it's very intense, not just because of the contact lenses she's wearing, but the way that she carries herself and the way she delivers the lines. So one of my favorite personalities that she's done so far in the show.
For sure.
Fully realized, yeah.
Before we wrap up here, who is most doomed this episode? Justin, let's go to you. Who is most doomed this episode?
Well, Elliot for sure, because I feel like that's all we've seen, and we're going to see him after having 2 episodes intensely focused on him and his emotional journey. Feels like he's just a later dude.
Mm-hmm. I'll call out Niles Caulder as being most doomed. We find out a lot more about him this episode, but he's clearly being tortured by Mr. Nobody. He goes back there. Mr. Nobody is not done with him or the team, if you want to call them that, by any means. So he's in big, big trouble, and I think it's only going to get worse. Pete, what about you? Who's most doomed?
Vic. I feel like that button on his neck was the ejector seat, and I'm worried about his future on the Doom Patrol, because once Daddy shows up, all the fun with your friends is over.
Sounds like there's a backstory there.
Yeah. Yeah, Pete, how often is your neck button pressed?
I don't want to talk about it.
No more in and out for Shifty. One other thing I just want to reiterate, walking out of this, it feels like everyone's doomed. As a first-time viewer of this, it feels like Morden is a tough villain. Like, the absolute power, the absolute recklessness, doesn't care about anyone. Like,
but doesn't know everything.
But doesn't know everything. Very curious to see how they're going to sort of work their way through his next big plan.
Yeah, we'll have to see what happens. If you'd like to support this podcast, patreon.com/comicbookclub. Also, we do a live show every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. to Crowdcast and YouTube. Come hang out. We'd love to chat with you about Doom Patrol. iTunes, Android, Spotify, Stitcher, or the app of your choice to subscribe and listen to the podcast at Comic Book Live on Twitter, comicbookclublive.com for this podcast and more. And as always, we're going to end this episode with a piece of advice from Pete. Pete, take it away.
Mixed drinks, not messages.
Wow.
What? That's good advice, but unrelated.
You got a good fortune cookie last night, Pete?
That's right. Eat as much Chinese food as you want.
Oh, that's 2 pieces of advice. Save it for the next episode.
No good.